At about 6 months old, your baby enters the world of eating solid foods. What makes baby food different than adult food? Is it affordable and easy to make your baby's food? I'm Catherine Emenaker from Great News Cooking School to teach you some principles of making simple homemade recipes to make for your baby. And this is Parent Savers, Episode 2.
Faster than a speeding toddler.
Sit still for just a minute.
Can soothe boo-boos with a gentle kiss.
Would you get down from there?
Able to clean poopy bottoms in a single swipe.
Oh, what did you eat?
Turning frazzled mommies and daddies into procreators of peace and harmony.
Ah, quit touching me.
It's Parent Savers, empowering new parents everywhere.
Welcome to Parent Savers, broadcasting from the Birth Education Center of San Diego. I'm your host, Casey Wilt. Parent Savers is all about helping new parents preserve their sanity by getting you expert advice from the baby years through the toddler years. Be a part of our show. Feel free to send us comments or suggestions through the contact link on our website, parentsavers.com, or you can call Parent Savers hotline at 619-866-4775. I'm a new parent. My son is 15 months old, and I'm also joined by 3 new parents in the studio.
Hi, my name is Kara Messer. I'm a hypnobirthing educator. I'm 39. And, actually, I just turned 40. Oops.
Oh,
40.
It's okay.
I have 2 children. One of them has special needs, and she's almost 4, and we're just starting her on baby food.
Hi, I'm Dawn Dickerson. I just 33 years old now, and I am owner of Mamas and Milk. I teach prenatal yoga, mama yoga, birth doula, and lactation consultant. I have 2 boys, and I have made baby food.
Hi, I'm Mark Ronaldo. I'm 32. I'm a computer programmer. I have a daughter who is 5.5 months old now, so I have not made baby food, but we're right on the precipice of doing it.
Good timing. Before we start today's show, here are some great breastfeeding remedies for new parents.
Hi, Parent Savers. I'm Robin Kaplan, an international board-certified lactation consultant, owner of the San Diego Breastfeeding Center, and the host and producer of Parent Savers' sister show, The Boob Group. I'm here to offer some advice on different breastfeeding remedies, such as, how can I treat my sore nipples? Painful sore nipples are the worst thing ever when you are a breastfeeding mom. My youngest son is almost 5 years old, and I can still remember crying every time he woke up to breastfeed that first week of his life. There are so many horror stories about painful nipples out there that some women are petrified of breastfeeding. So let me give you the lowdown about sore nipples and how to prevent and overcome them. With a few simple tips and the support of your breastfeeding village, you should be able to avoid painful nipples, or at least know how to get your nipples back on track. When dealing with sore nipples, we have a broad spectrum where these nipples may lie. One side of the spectrum is nipple tenderness, and this is normal. I mean, when's the last time you've had hours of nipple stimulation in a 24-hour period? My guess is never, or not since the last baby was born. The middle of the spectrum is painful feedings with maybe some cracking. This shouldn't happen, but it could have been the result of a poor latch here or there. This is something a lactation consultant or a support group leader can take a look at just to make sure. The far end of the spectrum, though, are bleeding and cracked nipples. Hello, red flag! This is not supposed to happen. This is your body's way of telling you that you could use some assistance from a lactation consultant to see what is causing this pain and hopefully figure out how to stop this so it doesn't keep happening. So how do you prevent these painful sore nipples? Short and simple, a nice wide latch. Now you don't need your whole areola in your baby's mouth, but the latch should be more than just your little nipple. Also, your baby's lips should be flanged like a fish's mouth. Lastly, don't push on the back of your baby's head to bring him or her into the breast. Instead, try a laid back feeding position. Bring your baby's torso into yours and his head will follow. The remedies for sore nipples and even slightly cracked nipples are simple. The easiest remedy is to express some breast milk on your nipples right after your baby is fed and let the girls hang out for a few minutes. The next best thing is organic coconut oil. Coconut oil is antifungal, light, and not goopy, and has a minimal scent. Plus, you can also use it for a diaper rash. Bonus! This can be found in your local grocery store in the olive oil section. For those moms with cracked and bleeding nipples, you might need to try a few other options. Hydrogels are great. They use wet wound management and can be placed on your nipples in between breastfeeding. Another great product is Earth Mama Angel Baby's Natural Nipple Butter. Lastly, definitely call a lactation consultant. When a baby is latching correctly and his or her tongue is doing exactly what it should, a mom's nipples should not become cracked and bleeding. A lactation consultant should be able to figure out the cause of your pain and offer suggestions of how to fix the situation ASAP. For more great information about different breastfeeding remedies, check out my blog at sandiegobreastfeedingcenter.com/blog, and be sure to listen to the Parent Savers and the Boob Group for fantastic conversations about breastfeeding and breastfeeding support.
Today on Parent Savers, Catherine Emmenegger from Great News Cooking School is with us to discuss how to make baby food. So, Catherine, let's start. What are some good reasons for parents to make their own baby food as opposed to buying it in the store? What are the benefits?
Well, I know it oftentimes will seem like such a time saver for parents to just go grab those jars off the shelves, and they're kind of labeled with the different stages, and it makes it simple and easy seemingly.
Yeah, seriously, stage 1, stage 2, there's no problem with that.
Exactly. But what you are doing is really spending a lot more money in purchasing the pre-made baby foods. And in all essence, there's a lot of fillers and things in those baby foods that we don't really necessarily think about. So the health aspects and the nutrition aspects aren't really quite as good as making your own homemade baby food. In fact, homemade baby food just on average can cost about 44 cents a serving, whereas purchasing a jar of something ready-made can be over $2 a serving. So, from that aspect alone, it makes sense not to purchase something pre-made.
Is there any other differences between just nutrition between the homemade food and jarred food?
Well, in nutrition alone, you can purchase organic fruits and vegetables and things like that are, seemingly, I guess, if you go to the store and you compare organic versus non-organic in the vegetable department, of course, we're going to be spending a little bit more there to purchase the raw materials to make the baby food. But then if you're looking at jarred baby food that is organic, then again, we're talking a significant price increase, of course. And then there, again, still are the fillers and such. By making your own baby food at home, what you can do is, have a better control of the cooking time, keeping the nutritional value of the raw ingredient, and then storing it the way you like to store it and having it ready to go. And we can talk about that as well. But definitely more benefit if you take the time within maybe once a week, if you kind of map out a little section of time in your week to make baby food and then store it away. You really will not only save your nutritional value and such, and more money too by doing that.
Are there certain types of fruits and vegetables where it's like more beneficial to buy them organic? Because I know that certain things like bananas, you spend a lot on organic bananas, but there's very little benefit to, from what I understand, to buying organic bananas.
Or even like frozen,
yeah.
Well,
can you use frozen produce?
Frozen produce is great because in certain circumstances there can be more nutritional value to those than buying fresh.
Okay.
Mainly, certain vegetables can spoil a little bit faster as a raw product. And now this wouldn't necessarily be one of your baby's first foods by any means, but broccoli tends to have a very short shelf life when it's a fresh product. But if you buy it frozen, the nutrients will be there because it's been blanched and frozen right away. By blanching, what I mean is it's just simply cooked a minimal amount of time to keep it from changing colors and such. While it's in the frozen state, it can darken and whatnot. But, spinach and things like that, also good products that are frozen and buying organic. Again, if we're looking at, pesticide-free kind of thing, we really don't want our babies eating that kind of stuff. So, and even bananas actually can have the pesticides on the skin, but then, if you're peeling it and touching the banana, then you're kind of transferring that into the food. So you'll want to be careful there, regardless of whether you're buying organic or not. Apples, certainly. Again, also, I think it's very beneficial to buy organic, or at least local, farmers markets and certainly, different ways of purchasing things that you can get as a farmer's market bag. There are plenty of places around town that are doing that, where you can pick up your vegetables or, different time periods. Those are good ways that you can get some of those really awesome organic sort of products and the freshest available, and then certainly make baby food from those products as well.
Those are CSA shares?
CSA shares, but there's also specialty produce down on Hancock Street that has like a farmer's market bag that you can order.
Okay.
And you go online and just kind of tell them what you want to add. They do produce as well as meats and cheeses and things like that. So your whole family can be enjoying those foods.
I'm sure
very
that's
readily.
in other cities as well, something similar.
Yeah, probably.
So
Yeah.
you think it's important to start our babies with organic food rather than conventional food?
I think if you're going to buy conventional food for the reasons of expense, then I would take extra care in washing or peeling or, all of those kinds of things that could make a difference to imparting some of the things that we don't want our babies to ingest.
Well, and I know that a lot of the thinner skinned fruits like peaches or strawberries, they collect a lot of pesticides more than the other, like bananas per se. And I read something somewhere, maybe you doula mamas can help me, but something about up until the age of 2, children are really susceptible to chemicals all over, and it affects the brain development. And I thought, when I learned that, I was like, wow, like, everything we touch nowadays is, got chemicals of some sort to help it grow or whatever else, be bigger or better or whatever. So, but as you were saying, like making the baby food, it can be cost effective even if we buy organic, but we make it can still be cheaper than
Absolutely.
the other stuff.
Definitely more cost efficient or organic vegetables, raw product to make your baby food rather than buy organic.
What are some good foods to begin with that are safe? I mean, I from my pediatrician, we got the a pamphlet that mentioned a lot about rice food cereal. So we bought that. We know that seems to be what you would give the baby first, but is that what you give the baby first? Is there anything else, or
Is there an order?
Is there an order to it?
There's not really an order necessarily, but I think mapping it out so that you have some of the easily digestible foods within the first several weeks of trying new things, and making sure that you have 3 to 4 days where the child eats only that, and of course breast milk or formula, however you have to do that, and maybe working some of the cereal into those fruits and vegetables that we might be trying. Honestly, it doesn't have to be cereal as the first food. It can be things like, again, the avocados, apples, apricots, peaches, things like that, pumpkin, squash, sweet potato, very, very good, high in nutrition.
That seems to be easy to make.
Yeah.
Poke it with a fork and throw it in the microwave, or other ways.
Yeah,
And
or
bake 'em,
exactly.
roast 'em.
Very easy. Again, giving the child 4 days of that so that you can ensure that they're not having any kind of an
Gas and-
allergy or any kind of issue with that.
So those are the kind of foods that are less potential, that have like a less potential to cause an allergic reaction.
So what foods do you stay away from in the first, month or two?
Oh my gosh, foods to stay away from would be anything really super acidic or gas causing, of course, broccoli and things like that. The other thing that I would not do is, season any of the foods. Like if you're preparing something that you think, a little salt, little pepper, maybe some.
What about like a little cumin or a little bit of
Garlic
that stuff?
salt,
Yeah.
no.
I would hold off on all of that. I would keep it very, very simple initially, and then save the spices and herbs and things like that till the 8 to, beyond sort of timing, 8 months to beyond.
And something else to remember with anything new that you're giving to the baby is that it not just introducing to the food, it's also they're learning a new skill. of eating and being able to move the food to the back of their mouth, and there's that kind of process that goes into it too. So if you can give them the really easily digestible and nutritious and easy to eat things as well, one of the reasons why we start with all that smooth stuff, because they're learning how to do that. So in the beginning they may react and say they don't like a food, but it may be that they really are just getting used to actually eating.
If you keep trying, I mean, like, he did not like that food, made the worst face. Stop it. Keep going the next day. In the research that I've done, it can take babies up to 15 times of trying something before they will accept it. Now, sounds like my husband.
I know. It doesn't mean that you start and keep on going 15 days in a row. No, you don't like it? No, too bad. You got to do it again. But if they tend to not prefer something, you could wait a little bit and then try again, offer that food again, because just because
make a cocktail, I like the mixing.
The mixing, and because because they don't like it one time doesn't mean that they're not going to like it the next time they have it.
Thanks, Catherine. When we come back, we'll learn about the best starter foods for your babies, and we'll provide you with some simple recipes that you can make at home. We'll be right back. Catherine Emmenegger from Great News Cooking School is with us to discuss how to make baby food. So how do you make baby food? I mean, I gotcha. If I want to feed my child, I'll do banana, smash it up. If I want to do avocado, smash it up. But what about peaches? How do I cook it? Start me from the beginning.
Okay. Well, let's start at the beginning, really, because when we think about the first foods that we give to the baby, we want to certainly give them something that's going to be easy to digest. So, like I mentioned, avocados, but we also talk about cereals and things like that as being a appropriate first food. And of course, we can go to the store and buy boxed cereal and mix it up and whatnot. And usually those have been processed to the degree where they've been pre-cooked, dehydrated, and kind of ground up. So all that we have to do is take it out of the box, mix it with some water, warm it up a bit, and it's ready to go. But what I would suggest is that maybe we potentially start thinking about grinding up some of our own cereal to the form of taking brown rice and using things like maybe a Vitamix or one of those blender type products that will actually grind grain and prepare a flour, or buying a gluten-free flour such as Bob's Bread Mill produces a very nice brown rice blend for gluten-free, kinds of diets.
So I blend up the flour, or I blend up the brown rice, and then what?
And then you're going to take about a quarter cup of that flour and sift it or shake it very loosely into boiling water. Now, that's where it's going to get tricky, because if you want to create a thicker sort of cereal for the baby, then you're going to use less water, of course. But more water will give you the loose sort of consistency that possibly your baby would like to have. So what you can do is anywhere from 3/4 to a cup of water boiling, and then again shake that flour into it while constantly stirring. You're going to receive a properly cooked product, and then it'll give you that wonderful cereal, and the nutrients will be there because now we're using a whole grain that we've ground ourselves. It's an organic product, possibly. And, you're going to just have a lot better
But can you
process.
store it? Because I can't do that every single time I need to feed my baby rice cereal. Can I store it for future use?
You can grind the grain and store that for future use. And I would recommend, if you've got space in your fridge or freezer, maybe store that dry flour product that you've prepared in that refrigerated environment so that it won't go rancid. Of course, you'll be using it pretty readily, but nonetheless, it just will hold up a lot better and be a lot more healthy. Planning ahead a little bit. Yes, of course, we're cooking, and it'll take maybe, anywhere, depending on the type of grain that we're using, 5 to 10 minutes to cook properly. And yes, you can put it in the microwave if you wish to and have it ready within a minute or two. That would be, again, a personal decision as to whether or not the microwave is something you want to do.
Okay, my question is, if, the broccoli is already frozen in the freezer, do I take it out and thaw it and then make my baby food and then refreeze it? Or am I giving it to them right after I thaw it?
if you're dealing with frozen vegetables and such, then it just makes it really convenient because you can take out only what you need for that time and thaw it appropriately, whether you're pulling it out, putting it into a container, putting it in the refrigerator to thaw, and then processing it for the use maybe the next day or however you are planning the meal. Or, you can just quick thaw it in either a water bath as you maybe place it into a Ziploc bag or something of that nature or some kind of container and set that into a water bath and thaw it. But refreezing it after you prepare it would not be a necessary option at all, or really not a good option.
So the best option seems to be buy fresh, prepare, then freeze if you have to freeze, right?
That would be the ideal flavor. I mean, the baby is learning about these flavors and textures
He's
and everything.
fine. He doesn't need a no flavor. Throw some salt in it.
I look at it as a laying a foreground to future textural and flavor palette sort of complements. And what we want to do is get the babies kind of ready to enjoy those flavors later as they grow older, because, you don't want them to turn around and go, geez, that is really nasty. I don't want to eat this. But, even though my daughter's first food was avocado, I have to say that for years she would not touch an avocado. It's now that she's 17 that she's actually eating avocado again. But, so we can't really gauge on what's going to happen there. But, we just really want to lay some really good groundwork of not only the nutritional aspects, but, we want them to be able to eat healthy and understand that, hey, that does taste good and I like it. And if it doesn't taste good or is texturally pleasing, they're just going to go, yuck.
So you've walked us through on how to make the rice cereal. So how do we make the fruits and veggies?
Fruits and veggies, basically the same kind of process. Now, for the very new baby eating process, you want to take just very plain, no butter, no oil, nothing that's going to
taste good.
We're trying out new things and we want to just map out what's good for, or what will work for them, whether it be an allergy issue or other. But like, for instance, I loved the idea of feeding my babies squash or, the really beautiful yellow squashes from the winter sort of variety of kabocha, those very deep sort of green little pumpkin-shaped squash that have such great flavor, or butternut or any of those. And what I do with those, rather than cutting them in half and seeding them and putting them in a water bath to cook in the oven, I just take it and poke some holes into it, either with a paring knife or a fork or something of that nature, just to kind of poke the skin a little bit, and then put it on a sheet tray into the oven at 400 degrees and let it roast there for, it takes somewhere around 40 minutes, depending on the size of squash. And then you'll go ahead and ensure that it's tender, again with a knife or a fork or something, and then pull it out, let it cool, cut it open, get those seeds out at that point, and then scoop out the flesh and puree that once it's handleable, because it's going to be hot. Then you can put it either in the ice cube tray and freeze it that form, or however, little containers you'd like to do. Adding water as you process it is definitely an option, but then you have the possibility of putting in a nice purified water if you, have such a thing. And,
or breast milk sometimes.
Breast milk, absolutely. Yeah. You can do basically the same kinds of things with carrots and green beans. You want to steam those. And sometimes when we're talking about green beans or peas, with the skins or the stringy fibers that are included, you may want to hold off on those until the baby is a little bit more experienced eater, because of the issues that we just discussed in terms of swallowing and working that food back in the mouth there. And, certainly just real simply, things that are soft by nature, like bananas and things like that, we can take and smash. The avocados, take and smash, don't need any really extra cooking or processing of any kind. again, with apples, pears, you can kind of steam those a little bit and then process those. You can incorporate, once the baby's more experienced and has been determined that they're not sensitive to any of these things, you can incorporate the two things together, or three even, if you wish. And like we mentioned earlier, incorporating a little sweet with some of these things that aren't so palatable or that the baby finds palatable in order to kind of entice them to eat it. Of course, adding a little bit of sugar helps the medicine go down, as we've heard. But, sometimes we want to hold off on those sweet things because, first of all, they fill the baby up, and we want to get the high nutrient kind of items in first. But nonetheless, they also are kind of keeping them from enjoying or understanding that they should enjoy some of these green leafies and things like that as they grow older. So we don't necessarily want them to choose the really sweet things first. And that's why I always recommend that, we try to go with the not so sweet items as the first foods. And
like vegetable or some sort.
Right. Just kind of like the avocados are really ideal. And sweet potatoes, even though they are on the sweeter side, are not kind of like having a banana or a peach. You know what I mean?
Well, when I was in Italy and we went when my son was 4 months old, and baby food there, the second ingredient is sugar. Mm-hmm. And I was so surprised. And I mean, it's one of those things I wonder, what's the hidden sugar in our jarred food, that we kind of start this process of feeding our child cookies and treats and stuff like that, and trying to I want for my child to back up, start at the beginning, and like your food without salt, like your food without, sugar.
Or butter, or any, like even with the cereals, I think the tendency is they get older to add a little pat of butter. But, we've talked about adding breast milk to the foods and such, and that has a natural sweetness to it as well. So, by doing that, we can, again, give them the flavors that will entice them to consume it.
How long is the baby going to be eating mostly pureed foods? At what point do they move on from the
pizza?
Yeah,
such
it's
a
meatballs.
Great question. I when I was going through this with my kids, and they were both, of course, very, very different, and I tried very hard to make sure that they only had either breast milk or formula up to 6 months. But my son, who at 4 months started, of course, getting teeth, and, he just was going crazy every time we were sitting down for a meal. So, we tried very much to just give him the pureed stuff, but eventually, even very shortly after his beginning eating, he needed to have something more. And he was the kind of person that gave us the indication that he was ready. So
it's an individual thing.
Yeah, absolutely individual. Absolutely. And, just let the baby lead you. Don't be too, kind of stuck into a book telling you what to do. Of course, the doctor is always there to help you, guide you.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for helping us to create homemade food for our children. So we didn't get to discuss all the recipes that we wanted today, but we got to talk about a few. So look for those on our website. You can download them and www.parentsavers.com. Just look for the episodes page on our website and look for today's topic, simple baby food recipes. Before we wrap up today's show, here is a parent's guide to babysitting.
Hi, Parent Savers. This is Jody with Urban Sitter, a website that connects you to friend-tested sitters. I'm here to help you figure out the right questions to ask when searching for a babysitter. Such as, so I used a sitter. Nobody's dead. Should I use her again? The first time you leave the sitter alone with your kids, make it for a short time. That way, if anyone melts down, including the sitter, it's short-lived. Does the sitter wash the snack plate? Is the plate in the sink, or did she leave it on the ground with ants marching towards it? Are the toys put away, or did she offer to help put them away? Was TV allowed in your household, and was it on when you got home? So if your child can talk, this is great input, but when a child is too small to communicate, you have to look for the details. Is the baby's diaper wet? Although I have to admit, it is sometimes hard to tell if you're not mom. If everything appears to have gone smoothly, go ahead and try it for a bit longer. Don't worry, it's completely normal to check your phone every 2 seconds to see if the sitter called. When my husband and I went out for the first time after our daughter was born, I set my phone right in the middle of the table so I could see if the sitter was going to call. And we joked with our waiter about how paranoid I was. He even bought us a bottle of wine. What a great way to top off the night. Okay, parent savers, it's time to say hello to your old friend Spontaneity. Visit urbansitter.com to find and book babysitters your friends know and love.
That wraps up today's episode. We'd love to hear if you have a parenting topic you'd like to suggest, or if you have questions for Catherine about today's show or topics we discuss. Call our Parent Savers hotline at 619-866-4775, or send us an email through our website, parentsavers.com, and we'll answer your question in an upcoming episode. Coming up next week, we have Dr. Sears with us, helping us to navigate the vaccine basics. Thanks for listening to Parent Savers, empowering new parents everywhere.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording, so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.